So, guys, in this next news story, an organised crime gang who traded in more than £4.5 million in cocaine laundered their profits into cryptocurrency, which almost made their funds untouchable. The conspiracy across Wales has resulted in 12 people being sentenced for their role in the enterprise. There was a 2-day hearing at Cardiff Crown Court, which heard Joshua Billingham, who's 26 of Caerphilly, and Amir Khan, who's 30 of Cardiff, played leading roles in the operation, which came to the attention of police in 2020. An investigation into the organised crime gang was named Operation Solano. In his sentencing remarks, Judge Jeremy Jenkins said drugs with a street value of £4.6 million were generated as a result, and no less than 40 kilos of pure cocaine was traded. In all, this operation was concerned with 12 individuals, which gives some indication of the scale of operation. A specific communication system, EncroChat, was deployed by many co-conspirators who falsely believed they were safe in the execution of the trade. In a bid to hide the scale of the operation, Billingham and Khan recruited partners, friends, and family members to help launder the money, while they were both serving prison sentences for other matters. During the period of the conspiracy, $2.85 million worth of cryptocurrency transactions were made in associate accounts, and withdrawals of around $2.38 million was made. In 2020, Gwent police searched the flat in Caerphilly and found 2 hydraulic presses used in the package and distribution of cocaine. Items were recovered which showed the extent of the flat which was being used to cut and package cocaine. A sample of half a kilo of cocaine, 6 kilos of cutting agents, and other paraphernalia shows to what extent the flat was being used. When the home of Khan and his partner was searched in Cardiff, a voice-activated recorder was found showing both were actively involved together in the distribution of cocaine. His missus could be heard assisting the adulteration of cocaine and distribution. She was in South Africa at the time of the raid, but was able to empty an account containing $42,000 under the noses of police. Designer goods with the value of £100,000 were discovered, including a pair of trainers belonging to Khan, worth £10,000. As a result of warrants in Caerphilly, Leon Sullivan is 25, Callum Richards is 25, Darryl Skim was 28, and Ian Kidley is 24. Joshua Collins is 26 were arrested. There was another man, Matthew Dean, who was recruited by the group to distribute drugs in West Wales. There were further arrests for Stacey Challenger from Caerphilly, Sammy Rayman from Cardiff, Sidra Khan from Birmingham for their role in laundering and transferring funds into cryptocurrency. Concluding his sentencing remarks, Judge Jenkins said, "The enterprise can be seen to generate staggering amounts of money indicative of the scale of the offending and dealing." Joshua Billingham pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, possession with intent to supply Class C, and money laundering. He was sentenced to 14 years and 8 months in prison. Amir Khan also pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, possession with intent to supply Class C drugs, and money laundering, and he was sentenced to 20 years and 7 months in prison. Leon Sullivan of Caerphilly pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 11 years and 4 months in prison. There was a Callum Richards. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 10 years and 5 months in prison. There was a Darryl Skim. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, and he was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. There was Ian Kidley. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, and he was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. There was a Matthew Dean. He also pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and money laundering, and he was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months imprisonment. Joshua Collins. He also pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and money laundering. He was sentenced to 7 years and 8 months. There was a Stacey Challenger. She pleaded guilty to money laundering, and she was sentenced to 12 years imprisonment. There was Sammy Rayman. Again, pleaded guilty to money laundering. He was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment. Caitlin Dijaga, Amir Khan's girlfriend, pleaded guilty to money laundering and being concerned in the supply of Class A drugs, and she was sentenced to 4 years and 4 months in prison. And Sidra Khan, who's from Birmingham, pleaded guilty to money laundering, and she was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment, suspended for 18 months. Following the sentencing, Detective Constable Michael Coles, who led the investigation, said, These sentences are the culmination of more than 2 years of meticulous work to disrupt, dismantle, and bring this organised crime group to justice. The group operated on a hierarchical basis, sourcing vast amounts of cocaine and relied on the help of those close friends and the associates to distribute the drugs to dealers in South and Mid Wales. Joshua Billingham and Amir Khan played a leading management role and used friends and family to launder the money obtained through drugs through cryptocurrency accounts in their names. Court heard how the group used stash houses and industrial units to store, mix, and supply their drugs. Between them, they supplied more than 40 kilos of cocaine, a street value of £4.6 million to drug dealers across Wales. The total value of cryptocurrency that passed through the organised crime group's accounts was more than £3 million. This is one of the first cases in Gwent where cryptocurrency was used to launder money. Due to the hard work and expertise of our cybercrime unit, we were able to trace the money and bring these offenders to justice. We're delighted with the sentences issued, and I hope it serves as a deterrent to those who choose to involve themselves with organised crime. We will not just pursue those supplying the drugs, but also take positive action against those who choose to aid in their criminality, such as concealing financial rewards. That I'd like to thank our partners who worked with us on this case, as they helped us make arrests and gather intelligence to allow us to provide further evidence of this group's illegal activities. Story coming from London ways. 2 men have been found guilty of murdering a 21-year-old in Slough following a trial. Kyron Lee was knocked from his bike in Earls Lane by a stolen black Golf on October the 2nd last year at about 8:30 at night. He was then chased into Waterman Close and stabbed with a machete-like weapon, and he sadly died from multiple stab wounds. Inside the vehicle were 5 men, 3 of which stood trial at Reading Crown Court. They were charged with murder: Khalid Noor, Fras Sidamed, and Mohammed Agamari. The jury have only found 2 of those defendants, Noor El Gamari, guilty of murder. However, prior to starting the trial, Yaqub Musur, 21, who was also charged with murder, however he pleaded guilty before a trial, will now be sentenced with the other 2. Judge Amjad Nawaz, who oversaw the case, said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I propose to discharge you from further continuation of this case. In a moment you'll be free to leave. We appreciate you gave up your own time and came here to undertake a very important civic function. This trial, serious trial, had its stresses, not just lawyers, defendants and witnesses, but the jury too. We are conscious of that. We are conscious of your great patience. We are grateful. We want to acknowledge that without you, these courts would not function." The prosecutor in this case had previously told the court that Kyron Lee was killed in a planned execution. The victim was sent flying over the roof of a car when it hit him. The prosecutor said he got up and ran, the attackers having stabbed him in the streets, where he fell, gave chase. He was murdered in effectively a planned execution with multiple machetes or large knives. Mr. Lee died at the scene after suffering injuries to his chest, leg, head and arm. So guys, these are a number of stories coming out from the streets of the UK. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.